Tactics Talk with Guido. I've got a replay analysis here for you with LpBronco. He's in his WZ-111-1-4 Tier 9 Chinese heavy tank. He's in a platoon with Plum Waffle from the Clan F. Plum Waffle, that's a great name. So off we go, and we have loaded into Abbey. You can see that he is headed over to the west side of the map, which is a good place to go for heavy tanks. He sent me this one in and said, hey, what do you think about how we worked as a platoon? So we'll take a look at that and ask if there's anything he could do better. There's an interesting situation that happens about midway through here, which we'll discuss when we get to. And he's following the T10 up onto the west side. So this is a good place to go with a heavy. The T10 and the WZ-111 are quite fast, so they're going to get there early. So is the Conway. And that works out okay over here on the west side as you're looking down this alleyway that they're coming up to. But it's not a huge advantage. You can get there first, and if somebody pokes around the corner being a little silly, you can punish them pretty quickly. You got a T-57 coming in here, and there's a T-54. That's been lit. You've got the standard mediums and lights hanging out at the Abbey working on that, and not a whole bunch on the 8-9 line, which is not a bad idea, but go ahead and watch that part of the map. See what happens over there. The T10, there goes Mr. Plum Waffle. Got LP pushing up in his WZ and snaps a shot. There's some nice RNG right there. Now this gun on the WZ has pretty good handling as compared to other Chinese guns, but it can be pretty wonky at times as well. So just kind of watch how his RNG goes down in this match. That T100 is probably not going to come around the corner. Falls off the edge there. I'd be careful there, LP, about zooming in right there, because about the time you started to turn back and slightly before, the enemy team could be coming up around here. Now that the T-54 saw you, they know that there's some guys, so if you're kind of up on that hill rocking back and forth, somebody coming around that corner may have shot you right in the side. So I think you probably spend a little more time there than you need to investigating that T-100. But good on you for looking for a shot. And you'll see what happens here is that LP just spins around and he is headed down to the low side. This is not a bad idea. I was looking at the map as well, and I was thinking, well, maybe if they're not careful, they might have somebody come around to their 6 o'clock. So he's checking that. Looks like there's a 103 there, and we've got a E100. So they're Tier 10 heavies over there, and the T-57 put some shots into him, but the T-57 is getting rocked. You also notice that there's 2 artillery. So the spot where the 57, the Conway, and Plum Waffle are working can be hit by artillery, especially if the artillery is back here where my cursor is showing kind of in this area here. They can hit that. If you move forward a bit, it's very difficult to hit, but you see the Arty just came in and whacked those guys. Now you've got 3 in echelon, now it's 4 in echelon, so we're going to try to get in here and work on these guys. There's an artillery hit with splash, and I think that was a pretty good decision there, LP. He shot heat into your tracks. You didn't take any damage, which was nice. So there was no reason to snap off that kind of bad aimed shot. So you wait for it to zoom in a little bit and put that heat right through the flat plate of his turret. So the E100's flat-plated turret is very weak as compared to the rest of the tank, especially if you're firing heat with decent pen like the WZ has. Now, this was the decision area where LP wanted me to specifically take a look at, and they're going to head down to the low road, but they're leaving the Conway alone with a 103 and an E100, and I probably would not have done that. Maybe one of you go around and see if you can come in behind them, because once you send the other guy there, then you two can coordinate with comms, and one of you will be there helping keep them honest, helping keep the E100 and the M103 honest, because if they notice you're gone, they can easily push that Conway and he will melt away. Also, I told everybody to take a look at the other side of the map so you can see what's starting to develop there in the northeast corner. I wouldn't say they're dominating in there, but it is a threat to the cap. So we see the E100 gets hit, there's the 103 taking some hits, the Conway's still alive, there's a low up there helping him now, and the E100 has come this way. We're going to shoot him in the back, and we kind of go right back. I think I might have tried to put my front armor to him, and the same thing applies with the 103 right there. I think instead of, what you were doing, I believe, was trying to get behind the E100, which is a good idea, but I might have just tried to put the front armor to that 103 instead of giving that shot right there into the side of my tank. And maybe if had you just gone straight at the E100 to begin with. Zoomed in quite a bit right there, that sort of cost you some time messing around trying to aim. And the 103 goes down. Now, you can see that there's still the situation developing up there in the northeast. And it looks like, for the most part, his team has it handled. So let's talk about that just a minute. I do talk a lot about once you win your flank, that if you simply went back every single time, you would do better, especially if you're a sub 55, and most especially if you're below 50%. If all you ever did was, once you won your flank, was turn around and go back to your cap, you would increase your win rate. I always caveat that with, it depends. Once you get to a certain skill level, you start to try to develop a feel for when you need to go back and when you don't need to go back. And that's why this situation here is kind of interesting, because it looks like his team is handling it, and it could go either way. So you could either push towards their cap or go back. I think the safest thing to do would be go back, clean up your cap, maybe even kill that 100 LT that's trolling around in the middle, and then come back to their cap and work on it. There's other moving pieces there because the WZ and the T10 are pretty fast heavies. So maybe you push in a little bit like they're going to do, and if it really gets ugly on the cap, you can turn around and go back. Also remember that when you head to their cap, you're running into their campers, which are typically big TDs backed up by 2 artillery. So if you go over to the northeast, clean up your cap, then you can get a more coordinated effort with all of your players, or at least the ones at your cap that decide to finally move forward because they've been camping there all game. So I think this decision is not necessarily an automatically bad decision, but it is just something to think about. That was a decision point there once they took down the 103 and the 100 on whether to go back or push onto the cap. Of course, his team is winning, but you know, there they go. They just knocked a couple down, and it looks like they're only dealing with 2. So turns out, in hindsight, the decision was fine, but like I said, I think you could have definitely gone either way on that. We come over here and we're going to throw a slider low and left. That is part of the RNG thing we talked about. He's got a couple places where his RNG is pretty good, and then a couple places where it just really goes wacky, and that is a hallmark of the Chinese guns. Now, this is a good decision. Just hit that guy right there, and then we're going to stay kind of hanging out right here with our rear end to him, and we're angled. I kind of understand what you're trying to do, but I think what I might have done here is just turned around. He's coming down, even right here after he fired. I'd just spin around and probably zoom out. And this goes to camera work like I talked about. I might have just auto-aimed him, zoomed out, and then just, this tank does spin around pretty good. I'd have just spun the hole around and tried to get my front armor to him. Doesn't turn out to be a really big deal. You hit him right there. Look, I can see you're trying to angle. Oop, no, give him the flat plate side. And now we got our front armor, so maybe just a little late on that idea. Nice job, that balances it, and down he goes. This is really just kind of clean up on aisle 2. We're going to head up here. Now that northeast is still not settled, so, you know, had they done a little bit better over there, they might have been pushing up onto your cap and giving you trouble. But you are well ahead in guns, so it's really not a big deal. We're going to have some serious RNG action right here, right into the dirt. Thank you, China. There he goes. Now we've got a ISU kind of hanging out there. Nice job. Just give it a little bit of an edge there and see what we can do with him. And, oh, off the gun. Bummer. Must have destroyed his gun or broke it or something, so now we're moving up. He's getting hammered. He's thinking about, oh, I need to get one more shot of damage in. Looks like the northeast has finally won and they're pushing around the corner, or if they haven't won, they're pushing around the corner and threatening. More than likely, the enemy is coming back because they know their cap is threatened. Interestingly, the Foch is still hanging out up there and he's getting pushed. Looks like he crossed the opening over to the other side, so he's pretty much trapped, couldn't go anywhere. LP comes around the corner, dives off the cliff very carefully so he doesn't take damage, bounces a shot, well done. And now he's fighting a couple guys. We'll take a shot on an STA-1, easy pen for the WZ. Uses the little rise in the train right there. Nicely done. And we got these guys Looking to maybe snipe that Chieftain T95 turret, but wisely waits for the Chucklehead to come around the corner. And down goes the last guy. And it's pretty much over. So nice job, LP. I think you guys made the right decision. I would have probably left one guy high on the time you both went down low. But what you did worked out just fine. You both showed up behind him and they didn't push. But I think had I been them, and I knew you were leaving, I'm not saying they did know you were leaving, I probably would have obviously pushed into that convoy and tried to take that guy out. But it worked out, and then the decision point on whether to go back or head to the cap. Heading to the cap got you more damage. In this case, like I said, there's a discussion and argument that says go back right there, but you've got to, once you get to a certain level, you can make those calls on the run and go, you know what, I have a fast tank, and I think those guys are probably going to handle it, so let's go ahead and push up onto their cap and clean up the rest of the game. All right, guys, I hope you like what you saw. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check out my Twitch channel. It's Guido1212 Cartel, C-A-R-T-L. I'll be doing a lot of streaming in the near future. And as always, we will see you.